Newt Gingrich. You know, he's a very big guy physically. But I do think psychically, he's been shrinking with every interview. And I got intrigued this morning, so I went back and read Rod Rosenstein's report, which he did to President Trump just before the president fired Comey, and then I read the recently released Inspector General's report on Andrew McCabe. And what's really sobering in here, I think what Alan Dershowitz was saying is so important. You had the number 1 and number 2 people in the Federal Bureau of Investigation both engaged in behavior that clearly violated the law. I mean, I think the whole depth, the idea that the top 2 people in what is our preeminent law enforcement agency in the entire country, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, literally now you've had an internal report by the Inspector General saying McCabe clearly lied. You had this analysis by Rod Rosenstein, which if you have never read all of it, is really staggering in the degree to which it repudiates Comey. And that's what President Trump got just before he decided to fire him. These two taken together, it is very sobering. Sean Hannity, Gingrich, to think you had that depth of corruption on the very top of the FBI. Hannity, then, look at all the people who have either been demoted or McCabe fired or people that will be fired, I'm sure, as a result of this. Then ultimately I do believe criminal action will be taken place. I do want to go back to this important question. You know, we have a FISA court. I can't imagine James Comey saying, well, it could be true at this late date, meaning the Clinton bought and paid for Russian dossier. And that wasn't, he knew she paid for it, and that was the basis, the Grassley-Graham memo, the bulk of the application that they used to get the warrant to spy on a Trump campaign associate. That to me is criminal. You don't lie before a judge, nor do you write exonerations before you even interview the person. He did that, too. Gingrich, well, look, clearly, if you were to go through all of the falsehoods, whether you are talking to Congress or other circumstances, all of the things that Comey has done, clearly, they are a substantial number of indictable grounds. The case made today by a very senior attorney in Washington writing in a legal journal, that if you read the Inspector General on McCabe did exactly what General Flynn did. Now look at how General Flynn has been treated and look where McCabe is at this minute. So, clearly, if you were to apply the law, and not just apply the social norms among good friends, both McCabe and Comey I think would be in very serious legal risk at this stage. Hannity, the new Comey standard. If we're going to use the Comey standard, number 1, I guess everybody is part of a crime family. If you disagree with James Comey, which is outrageous in and of itself, but the standard is, it must be unless presented to a judge, so the judge won't know who paid for it, the judge won't know it's unverified, and the judge will then issue a warrant to spy on an American citizen, because it may be possible. Gingrich, well, look, the number 1 thing to recognize out of everything we've learned from James Comey is that this is the world according to Comey, and which Comey is always right. So at every stage, if somebody else disagree, he is disappointed in them. This is a point made by Rosenstein in his memo to the president. That Comey seems incapable of learning from his mistakes. Or incapable of even thinking that there are mistakes. And though, I mean, the level of danger that we had in having an FBI director who had this level of megalomania, and who decided that he would supplant the Attorney General, whether you like or dislike Loretta Lynch, she was the Attorney General. No FBI director has the authority to decide that he will now replace her, and yet, that's what he did, and in explaining why he had to announce what he did about Hillary Clinton. That he was protecting an institution. It wasn't his job to protect the institution. It's an act of stunning arrogance to believe that he was the only perfect person in an otherwise flawed world.